In Chapter 3, we left off with the ratification of the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution, abolishing slavery, and the end of the American Civil War. After the war, Edwin T. Clemmons, who was the great-grandson to our town founder Peter Clemmons, began a stagecoach company connecting our area to Asheville and points beyond. He named his design and stagecoach after his wife Harriet, Hattie Butner. The Hattie Butner would become a popular stagecoach model in the late 1800s. His business was important because his stagecoach line also won the contract to deliver our mail. Members of Hattie's family are buried in our tiny cemetery. Interestingly, Hattie's stagecoach would later become our village logo. Our church member Bill Edwards designed and illustrated that logo upon the town's incorporation in 1986. Bill was a local artist who died at 102 years of age only a few years ago. Finally, in 1874, we were able to build our first church building right here at 3700 Clemmons Road. Though we don't have a photo of this church building, our history indicates that it was a white-painted, wood-framed church, much like Mount Pleasant Church building at Tanglewood. It had a stove for heat, along with several lamps and a small library. The church minutes from 1882 mention that we were now out of debt, and the property was valued at $800. In 1898, our first youth group was formed. The Epworth League was a national organization with the purpose of engaging young people. We were the first church in the district to launch a chapter of the Epworth League with 14 youth members. The industrial age was beginning in the United States, and Henry Fries, with the financial backing of Thomas Edison and others, built a hydroelectric dam across the Yadkin River in 1898. And that ushered in the industrial age in our area. Unfortunately, the industrial age would not protect us from the weather and the consecutive storm seasons that were about to hit our area. The 1900 and 1901 hurricane seasons were unprecedented. In September of 1900, a hurricane destroyed Galveston, Texas, in what is still the deadliest natural disaster in U.S. history. Less than a year later, a series of hurricanes and storms hit North Carolina, one of which destroyed our small wooden church, along with the Moravian parsonage and many other Clemmons structures. Just as money had been raised and construction of a new church had begun, another storm destroyed it again. One church member was quoted as saying, "The Lord blew it down twice, so he must not want it there." Defeated and certainly tired, many members moved on. The picture shown here are children in front of Carl Stroop's store at the intersection of what is now Highway 158 and Main Street. Our corner neighborhood CVS store resides where Stroop's store was located. Those members that stayed remained faithful to Clemmons Methodist Episcopal South and joined a 2-point charge with Louisville Methodist Episcopal Church in 1904. So for a number of years, our property lay vacant, and Methodism nearly disappeared from Clemmons. But when an actual bridge was built across the Yadkin River to replace the old ferry system, things started to happen in Clemmons. In 1917, Clemmons Church joins the Haynes-Clemmons Charge, which was formed from 4 churches: Haynes, Bethel, Mount Pleasant, and Clemmons. A new board of trustees was formed in 1917, consisting of Alfred Hunter, G.W. Henshaw, and George Miller. Those 3, along with 13 active members and 1 new transfer named Miller Henshaw, would build a new church on this property in 1920. Those 17 faithful Methodists were some of the many superstars of the 20th century and brought life back to the vacant church property we call our home.